Big news, I'm writing a book. I wanted to make this video because at first I was like, oh, maybe I'll wait until I announce the book whenever it ends up being published. But then I thought, well, it would be really interesting to make some content on this. And as I'm going through and writing the book, I'm using a lot of my apps like Notion and Google Photos to gather references to write the book. So I wanted to show you guys today how I'm finding all of my resources to write this book, a little bit about what the book's about, which I'm really excited to tell you, and more. So if you guys are interested in watching that, make sure to stay tuned, make sure to subscribe for more content, and yes, let's get started. So why am I writing a book? Number one, I've always wanted to write a book. I've always loved reading. I read about 30 to 40 books a year, usually nonfiction, and I have been slowly getting back into fiction, but mostly nonfiction, and that's the book that I'm gonna be writing. The title of the book as of now, which it's still, I think this is what I'm going to call it though, is called Productivity for the Neurodivergent Brain. It's going to be about productivity, but in a lot of different ways, and how it's different for people who are neurodivergent, whether that's ADHD, autism, OCD, all across the spectrum of neurodivergent C. And I'm really excited because I'm really just going to be sharing a lot of the stuff that I have learned from myself. Some of it I've shared on this YouTube channel, but I want to have it in a written form so that people that maybe prefer to read, like even myself, can have it all just in one place. So what does that mean when it comes to how I organize and plan out this book? That is something that I have started learning and figuring out for myself, and I want to show you what I've developed so far. So far, I've used mostly two main tools. Number one, which is Notion, to start writing the book, sort of laying out the chapters, that sort of thing. And then number two, Google Photos, which is where I am using all the references, screenshots, book notes I've had from other books and other resources over the years. I am a screenshot machine. And so I have so much like words that I'm searching in Google Photos to find all these references and things that I can use. Basically, my second brain right now is in Google Photos. So I want to show you guys specifically how I do that. So let's head over to my computer and I'll show you guys a little bit of my process. I haven't done a video about books in a while, and I felt like I need to start making that again, as I don't know when this book is going to be published, but I am starting the writing process. So let's just get to it. So this is the basic, you can see it's as basic as it gets. What I love about Notion is you can get absolutely as basic as you want, and this to me is that. A lot of my Notion databases are actually just super simple tables. So you can see right here that I have different options for my book. So this is, again, a very rough draft. I'm still in the writing process, but as you can see, I kind of have 6 different parts set up. I'm also building a reference table. So these are going to be like books that I reference, that sort of thing. But over here, you can see as you drop down, each one has its own chapter. Now, for example, I am in draft mode for all of these. Some of these I haven't even started, but if you click on open them, then over here, I have all of the stuff that I've written so far. So what I'm doing is I'm sorting them by chapter and then writing out the chapters as they go. For me, I'm not a big writer, so what I do first is I actually auto-dictate it inside of Otter. So once I do that, I then copy it over to Notion, and then I kind of go through and edit it. So this book started off as 3 parts. It's now at 5 or 6. I think it's at 6 because I just kept finding more things that I want to write about, which has been cool. Another thing that I do is I also upgrade the status. So if I actually have a written draft, or if I haven't started, or if it's in progress, I just have a few different options for status. I also wanted to have a full table for all of the different chapters. Right now I'm at like a lot. I'm at like over 50 chapters. All the chapters are gonna be really short though, so they're not gonna be like super long chapters. It's gonna be kind of like, you know, each page or chapter is even only going to be a couple of pages. So it's going to be a little bit of a different, like, I don't like books with super long chapters. I'm not a big fan. I kind of just like to say what I have to say, move on. Another thing that I'm going to be adding to the book is each chapter is going to have a quote. So I'm going to add those here. And what I'm doing for that is I'm using Google Photos, which we'll talk about next, to kind of find all of the quotes and things that I have been collecting over the years. The last section that I have so far is how many words I have. I didn't know this, but on Notion, you can find word count. So if I go over here and you go here, you can see right here the word count is 458. So then what I can go and do is type that over here. So right now it's at that. So that way I can go down and if I'm in like the table view, so if I go over here and I go to properties and show the number, I can actually add it all up. So if I go all the way down and I go down here and I do sum, you can see I've written 2,500 words. That is definitely not enough for a book. So you can see I have a lot more to write. My goal is, I don't even know. I don't know how many words do you need for a book? At least 10,000 minimum. Probably 50,000 at least. I don't know how many books. I don't know how many I've never written a book before. This is all new to me. I'm very early in the process. But I just wanted to show that to you guys because, again, I'm new to this process. It is something that I am excited about. But I wanted to show you guys specifically how I'm using Google Photos to sort of source a lot of my materials. So let's head over there and I'll show you guys that. So one of the things I did with Google Photos is I started a new Google Photo album called Book References, where if I'm finding a quote or something from all the different Kindle books that I've read over the years, I add it to this so it's an easy way for me to find it. One of my favorite things about Google Photos is the search. So if I go back to search and I type in the word productivity, if you can see that some of them will be things that I put inside of productivity folders, but it will also search for any of the words productivity across anything. So if I click see more, it will literally find so many different things. And these are all things that I've saved. So they're not just random stuff on the internet. These are all things that I have saved at one point. You can see literally there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands at this point of things. So I just kind of have to go through this. I just wanted to mention that search is great, especially like you can see that I screenshot a lot of things. So for me, it's kind of going through and finding all that stuff. Another thing is I just have like different quotes in different folders. But the one thing that I also have is this is one of the largest folders on my phone is just quotes from Kindle. And you can see I've been doing this since 2017. Anytime I read a book and I like a passage, I will take a picture, whether it's on Kindle or on you can literally see like I have so much quotes, literally 2,000, you guys. This is like every book I've read for the last 7 years. I have a screenshot of something. So for me, what's cool about Google Photos is that anytime you see a word on this page, it will search it. And then when I'm searching for those terms using my second brain, it will find them. Now you could go through and add all these to Notion and do the same thing. That just takes a long time. For me, screenshotting or sharing it from Kindle, so much faster. So for me, as I go through, it's faster for me to read all these pages than to reread all the books that I've already read, because I know which books I want to reference because they stay in my head. And so I think this is going to be really, really helpful as I'm going through and writing the book. So that's how I use Google Photos for finding and referencing things that I've already saved as I'm now just putting them all together in the book. The last part I wanted to mention is how I organize all my book notes from books I've read inside of Notion. So we'll head back to Notion. A lot of people have asked me about this recently because I have a video on my TikTok and it still gets a lot of views, and it's about how I take notes inside of Notion. So let's just head back there and I'll show you guys that process. So as many of you guys know, I sell my life and business tractor. It's on my website so you can learn more, but this is one of the sections in it and it's called books. And basically what I have is all the different books that I've read or I'm reading. So for example, if I wanted to, I could open up any book that I've already read. You can see the status over here if it's done. And let me just find one that I know I have like stuff in. Let me just scroll through real quick. Okay, for example, the book Getting Things Done, which I'm sure at some point I will reference. This, you can see a long time ago, I created my table of contents, and inside each, I've kind of done subtasks. So I do part 1, part 2, part 3, and then inside of each one, I just put some information. Now, I don't know if I have any notes within these, but it's a great way for me to, if I'm, referencing the book, which I know I have behind me, I would just put in some information. And what's cool is then it becomes searchable in Notion. So this is a great way to do it. So if you are using my template, all you have to do is you would just go back. Let's see if I can just go back here. So I would turn this off. So basically what you do when you start a new book is it would just be the name of the book. And then what you would do is you would just click here where it says book, and then it would automatically add a table of contents that you can then write things out. I think this is really awesome because it's able to then quickly allow you to organize. I like to organize my book notes by chapter, which makes sense. So that way I have all the book notes from all the different books I've read inside of Notion. I can even add images. So when I export all those images from Kindle, I could put them right inside of Notion. There's a new feature now with PDFs where you can actually take all the text out of PDF. So that's also helpful if you get a free PDF download from a book. Otherwise, it's just a great way to remember all the books you read. If you have any book notes, instead of putting them on like your Apple Notes, you can put them in Notion and it's organized by book. So for me, inside of my template, this is legitimately how I organize my notes. Another book, as an example, The 12-Week Year, definitely going to reference that. You can see I have notes already inside of each chapter. So if I click this, you can see that I literally already wrote some stuff down. So for me, I'm going to be using Notion for this, but I would say, honestly, Google Photos is actually a bigger way that I actually use for my second brain because I screenshot more than I write down. So for me, searching through screenshots for some reason is so much easier than for me searching through Notion. But Notion is where I put all of the new information eventually and how I write the book. I'm not going to write it in Google Docs until the very end when I have like all of it written out. I kind of like to organize it by section. It also helps me kind of lay out how I want the book to be. So anyways, I hope that this was a good quick walkthrough. I'm probably going to update you as I go. I don't know how much I will because I don't want to like give away the entire book. But I want to show you guys the process of it as I'm writing it because I think that's really cool. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy this. Make sure to check out my life and business tracker on my website if you want to have all this stuff kind of set up for you already. Make sure to check out Notion Foundations, my course on how to use Notion, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.